We're live and recording. Okay. Hello, everybody. This is a test call and a first call where we're going to try to get some information out to everybody for the Illinois PPE network updates. So the intent is once a week going forward, some of us from Illinois PPE are going to give you some status updates on what we're doing. And this will be useful information for node leaders, for people working in groups, for the general public as well. So you're going to have the opportunity to ask questions through the platform that we're using here, Crowdcast, and then it's going to publish live. And it is running live right now on Facebook and YouTube. So I'm Jay Margalus. I'm from DePaul University, and I'm part of Illinois PPE Network's organizing committee. And with us we have...
I'm Jeff Solon. I'm a Chicago Public School computer science teacher and making teacher, and one of the organizing members for Illinois PPE Network as well.
All right. So if this doesn't work, we're going to delete it and pretend it never happened. But if it does work, we'll keep it up, and hopefully it's some information that people can make some use of. So first, at the top, because we haven't had an opportunity to live thank them, I wanted to thank our partners that we've been working with this whole time. They put out some great posts this week, and I really enjoyed seeing some of the pictures that they published of the work that they've been doing. So I wanted to thank our partners, Dremel. They've almost made 20,000 face shields so far working with us. Triangle Dye, that's an organization we've been working with. Jeff's been working with a lot for the Sloan Flat Pack Shield. Newark, Peak 6, Chicago Council on Science and Technology, and the Julian Grace Foundation. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So I kind of want to talk about like where we came from, where we're at now, and where we're headed, since this is one of our first calls, and so maybe we set some ground level rule things. So where we came with, we started out 3D printing face shields. We were fortunate enough to have Dremel as a partner, and so we made a lot of them, a lot of them, like over. Easily over 30,000 of those before we started making the Solon Flat Pack Shield. And we've got Jeff on, and I was hoping, Jeff, could you talk a little bit about the Solon Flat Pack Shield and where we're headed with that?
Yeah. So with everything that was going on with the 3D printed shields, was kind of realizing that there was a lot of multiple materials that had to be sourced, and some pretty significant time involved with making one shield if you put all the numbers down. So it would take, depending on the model used, maybe an hour to a couple hours to print the bracket, then taking a transparency 3-hole, punching it, tying off some elastic and attaching it. And so you had 3 materials, and potentially, depending on what resources people involved had access to, possibly having that work through multiple people to get one face shield assembled. So I had been in my lab. I had gotten access to my lab at the school and was able to start prototyping some stuff, and was trying to come up with a way to use the laser cutters to possibly quickly make a face shield. So if you fast forward a bit, through the Illinois PPE Network and connections here, I was able to work with doctors at University of Chicago Hospital and prototype design I had in mind, and worked back and forth with them every day, literally making an update based on their feedback. Doctor would come by my house, pick up new copies, bring it back, try it with a bunch of doctors, give me feedback. And we did this for about a week, and settled. Eventually, we had to kind of call it a day at some point so that we can produce them. And settled on version 8. And the idea is that the shield can be, at the time, that it could just be laser cut out of one piece of plastic, and then come out of the bed of the laser cutter and be ready to ship, and that you could ship a ton of them because they're so flat in one small box, and that they can be sterilized. And those are the overall goals. And once we did that and laser cut a bunch of them, we started working with JC Marovich at Triangle Dyes and Supplies, who was kind enough to donate his time and energy and efforts to make a steel die, kind of like a big cookie cutter. And then we worked towards mass production of the shields. So we've produced our first 8,200, which are being distributed now, and then bought a whole lot of plastic through all the donations of the kind people contributing to the Illinois PPE Network, and are looking at making in the next couple of weeks another 70,000 or so.
Yep. So I think, one of the things that helps orient people on, Jeff, and then we've got potential for tens of thousands more after that too, through some potential donations, is that we started out making face shields and 3D printing them. And, that might not be the most efficient way to do it, but it was what was needed and what had to be done at the time. And now with these new shields coming in, and with the Alana shields we've already made as well, some of that need has been alleviated. And so now we're shifting on to some of the next things that we can do to help the community, because of course there are a lot of other personal protective equipment needs and many other kinds of needs out there as well. And so the thing that we're moving on to after face shields, now that we're able to meet that demand, and if you're a node or a group that needs them, if you ask us for them, we'll be able to provide you with as many flat packs as you need now. The thing that we're moving on to is face masks. And so the three questions that I kind of wanted to address here is how does this face mask process work for node leaders, and then give you some information about what materials and tools you might have available. So let's talk about the tools a little bit first. Pam Daniels, if you go to our website, Pam Daniels and Sarah Rice created a bunch of different videos and resources for us, including files that you can 3D print that enable people who sew to make masks a lot faster. And in fact, I'll even link in the comments here, just as a test, the GitHub link to face masks that Eric and Sarah created. So as people with 3D printers, you still have, and if you're not 3D printing face shields, you still have a lot of other things that you can do. And that includes 3D printing the templates that can be used to cut the material. That includes 3D printing bias tape jigs. And it also includes 3D printing other adapters for larger pieces of thread and things of that nature. You can also turn your 3D printers, now that we're making masks, to printing ear savers. So this is an example of an ear saver that you can create. It can be made out of PLA because it's a fairly substantial piece it's a fairly substantial object and so forth as well.
Jay, I can put in there too. Just there's other, if you have dormant laser cutters too, this is a laser cut. This is a draft board, and this is design that's provided for free by Glowforge. And so on their website, they have these. And so you can laser cut and 3D print the ear savers, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that you can still do with your machines to be helpful. Now, how does this work for node leaders then? Well, we have the materials, and now we can also 3D print the tools to get them in the hands of sewers. So effectively, you're still operating as a hub or a node that is getting materials into the people who can make things, just like you were before with 3D printers, but now with sewers. So getting things into their hands, and then when the time comes, collecting those things and distributing them. And I'm going to run an experiment now, because we're talking about collecting and distributing. And I'm going to see if I can elevate and invite Ray Dukeson to join us via video. So Ray, put your shirt on. Here we go. So I invited you, Ray, and if you're able to join up, you'll be able to climb up here. So I want Ray on to be able to talk about the distribution of the materials that we have, because we've bought thousands and thousands of dollars of fabric, tens of thousands of dollars of fabric, thread, elastic, and bias tape that we can get to the people who are running hubs, and then distribute amongst those people so that they can begin making things. So whenever Ray jumps on, we'll get back to how do you get your hands on some of this stuff. But I'm going to keep moving forward while he's coming in with us here. So what materials we have available? As I said, we have tons of fabric. We have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of yards of fabric. So if you're a hub that needs fabric to distribute to sewers, let us know. If you need elastic, we have thousands of dollars of elastic. Let us know and we'll get it to your hub, and then you can distribute it to the people in your node, in your hub who are making masks. We have lacing and bias tape that you can get your hands on. So for people making masks, we've got templates. And then, as I said before, you're able to 3D print the tools. So you're able to 3D print bias tape jigs, thread adapters, and templates that people can use to make things. And as I'm talking along here, let me know if you have any questions. There's Ray. Okay, so it worked. Hey, Ray,
Hi.
how's it going?
Going great.
Okay. So, Ray, do you want to tell people a little bit about, like, if I'm in need of materials right now, and I'm running a hub in, or one of our groups in Illinois PPE, how would I get my hands on fabric, elastic, etc.?
Well, we take donations and we make mass purchases. When we get a supply of something, we'd stash it somewhere in either one of our various warehouses that have sometimes been donated or provided by members, and we'd move it out to one of the hubs or one of the nodes with a system of volunteer couriers. And that's one of the things that I mainly head up, is that I've got a long list of people who volunteer to run things out at random times. Sometimes it might be somebody running something out to a node or a hub in the back of their car, and it might be a Sprinter van. And we've got some companies that have volunteered use of their delivery vans from businesses that aren't doing as much work right now, and a couple of logistics companies that have even been able to handle things that are palletized. I just took a delivery here at my hub that runs out of my front porch of 1,100 of the Solon masks, of the Solon design masks, which sounds like a lot, but since they're nice and flat packed, they're taking up about a 3-foot stack of boxes. It's not that bad. And so we move things around with a system of volunteers.
Great. Thank you, Ray. So that's where we're at now. We've got the materials and we have the designs for tools for your groups to get things out into the hands of people who can sew, and then make as many masks as we possibly can to deliver them to hospitals, to correctional facilities, to your neighbors, friends, colleagues, everybody in need. We've got thousands and thousands of mask requests right now. We have thousands. We have many organizations, and in total, we have several thousand masks that need to be made already. And that number is only going to increase, as you can imagine. The demand, the supply will never keep up with the demand of the things that we're fabricating. So again, if you are shifting towards that right now and you're seeing the same kind of things that we are, which is a slowdown in shields, go over to the IllinoisPPE.org website, go to the face masks page, and you'll have more information there. And if you get face shield requests in, we have shields that we can get directly out to you so that you don't have to shift back to doing face shields. So that leaves us with, like, where are we headed right now? So if we're working on face masks, what are some of the other needs that we're going to be focusing on as a group, over the coming months and so forth? And that brings us to the final component that I want to talk about, at least, and I'll let you guys fill in too here, which is the idea that we've created a nonprofit now called the Digital Fabrication Network. And the Digital Fabrication Network focuses on PPE. So there's still Illinois PPE, and there's still things that we're making, like face masks and shields. But the Digital Fabrication Network addresses other needs in the communities, including things that aren't PPE but are still necessary to keep folks healthy. And that includes adapters for door handles, so that when we start going back to work and school, you're able to open up your doors without touching them and then potentially getting yourself sick. And it includes a lot of other things that we probably even haven't even thought of yet. And so we're excited to hear what other folks have to say about non-PPE related things that we can begin fabricating to help our community stay safe, healthy, and to help our community kind of address some of the secondary needs we have too, boredom and things of that nature. And so that's where we're headed. And we have a Facebook page now, Digital Fabrication Network, where this is live streaming currently. And we'll be working on some other kind of online materials for people to on-ramp with the group as the weeks and months progress. But it's rather fresh and new. It's probably only a couple days old. So hopefully that gives everybody an idea of where we started and where we're moving to right now, and then long term what some of our plans are. And the hope is that we can do these calls once a week. And also, if anybody has any questions or comments or things that they want to add in, we're going to leave a little bit of time on each of these calls for you to be able to do that as well. So, Jeff, Ray, I don't see any questions yet. So there's an ask a question feature at the bottom of this page here if you want to ask a question. If any of the other organizers on this call want to hop on, let me know and I'll bring you on. Otherwise, I'll make this an opportunity for Ray and Jeff to to jump in and add anything else that they wanted to mention until we start seeing some questions following.
I'm going to throw one more thing in there too. So I put it in the chat. I'm not sure if that's recorded with the video or not here, but the face shield design is free and free for use and remixing as long as it's non-commercial right now. So it's under Creative Commons commercial use, and all the files are provided on the site. So it's linked through illinoisppe.org, but it's also you can go to soulandfaceshield.com, and on there's a information about the licensing video on how to put it together, and then a link to the files. And I've provided as many file types and formats as I can. There's a tabbed and non-tabbed version of the face shield for 1 foot by 2 foot laser cutters, for Glowforge laser cutters, and for Dremel laser cutters. So based on those bed sizes, and I provided them in SVG, PDF, AI, and then I believe DXF also. And so what we've been doing, we've started to get some questions from people about how they can either get them or make them in other states. And what we've been doing is saying, hey, our die maker JC has been more than willing to share the die plans as well with anybody interested. And he also has been in the business forever of manufacturing. So he can connect people with die makers and local manufacturers in their area, wherever they might be, or at least attempt it. And then he can share the die plans out. And so if you wanted to reboot this or boot this somewhere else, it could be a matter of getting funding together through donations like we've done, and then having a die made and getting things mass produced to help people in your area as well. So the links are available in the chat. Like we said, illinoisppe.org and soulandfaceshield.org. Sorry, soulandfaceshield.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Ray, anything you want to add?
Well, I think you mentioned it before, but as we pivot more from exclusively making the face shields, and that was a great thing to get into, but a lot of people got the impression that they couldn't really volunteer or contribute unless they had a 3D printer or were willing to buy one. And there are plenty of things to do for anybody who has anything, as long as they've got a little bit of time and the willingness to help out. We have a list of people that are volunteer couriers. We have some people that are working on database work. But right now, prominently and notably, the sewists, the people who are willing to sew something, either with a sewing machine or by hand. There are plenty of things to do. And even just being a neighborhood coordinator, especially if you're in an area that doesn't have an established hub or node in it right now, just being available to maybe take a delivery of something to in transit. It might be an interim place. There might be a courier that wants to drop off 400 Solon face shields, which would be 40 or 50 pounds worth of plastic, and then other people are going to come by and distribute them. There are all kinds of roles for all kinds of people, and having a 3D printer is no longer the key to the secret club.
Great. We got a question from Jackie Moore, one of the organizers. She's asking for a friend. Do you still want volunteers to 3D print anything? Yes, absolutely. And that is something that the GitHub link that we shared above has some resources for, as well as the face mask page on the illinoisppe.org website. So the 3 things that I've been making, I don't know if I have, or the 4 things really that I've been 3D printing. I don't have any of them in my drawer right now. To help are tools to help sewers. 3 of them are tools to help sewers, and one is just a 3D printed thing. The one 3D printed thing, because we're doing face masks, is these ear savers, and these turtle ear savers work really well because they're substantial enough that you can print them out of PLA. These other ones here, you can't really print out of PLA because they'll probably snap. So these turtle ear savers you can find on the NIH website, I believe, and I'll put them on our website as well. And these are things that you can make too. The 3 other things that I've been 3D printing and putting in kits that I've been sending out to people who sew. One is there's an adapter that I'll put a link for on our website, and that adapter is for large thread. So typically like thread that would be used for sergers. And so it's a mount that you can place on your sewing machine so that you can use these larger pieces of thread. 2 now, I'm 3D printing bias tape jigs. That was a tip from Pete Pradle. Yeah, there's Ray's showing some thread there. So Pete Pradle from Milwaukee Makerspace, I think originally discovered or had this idea to begin printing these bias tape jigs. We've got links to those on our website as well. And those are they print really quick, and they're very, very useful for people who sew. They expedite making bias tape by light years, as I understand it. So bias tape, and then the third thing is templates. So we're 3D printing these templates so that when you go to cut your material, you can just place a 3D printed piece on top of the material and cut around it, kind of like a three-dimensional. Yeah, it's just a three-dimensional template. So those are the things that we're still 3D printing. There's absolutely things that you can still be making using them. It's just, face shields, because we've addressed a lot of this issue and are continuing to address it with the flat pack design aren't the thing that we're focusing on. We're focusing on tools to enable other people to make things, which is a very high leverage move for people with 3D printers, because now you're enabling other people to make things faster. And so your impact is exponential rather than individual. Jackie, did that answer your question? I'm hoping it did. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Was this a decent? What do you guys think? A decent first stab at this thing? Well, we'll do a big broadcast next week. Now that we know that things aren't setting on fire. Another question from Jackie: can we make any type of mask we want? Yeah, absolutely, yes. So the templates and the things that we're sending out are to enable people to make masks if they don't already have the tools. I don't think any of us have any interest in telling anybody how to do anything when it comes to face masks. Sewing is a very individualistic thing, and you might have your own techniques, your own resources available to you.
Jay, I'd also add that if you can't do everything, that's okay too. So if there's a part that you can help with, if you can help 3D print bias tape jigs, then that helps. If you can make bias tape, that helps. If you can cut stuff, that helps. And we're doing some other innovative things, or at least attempting it with some alternative materials like Halyard 600. And it could be that you have a laser cutter and you want to be able to just laser cut fabric to make it available for sewers to use. So I would say to not, for anybody that's thinking about volunteering, don't think that you have to have every single piece of some particular product covered in order to be able to help.
Yep. That would be my doorbell. So that's that. Yeah. And for the mask templates that we are making, you can go to the IllinoisPPE.org website, and all of the information is there too. So, all right. Well, I'm going to end this now because I've got 1,100 stolen flat pack shields waiting at my door that I got to go pick up. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, everybody.